How can you say you love a person and you want their best interest in the moment that they be vulnerable?
No matter how much we as Christians are told, you have the answer, right? God's the answer. You got to give that to him. Sometimes people just don't really need an answer that moment.
When those people of different races came to my neighborhood and they showed true love, I remember the ROI it had on me and my faith.
Tell me tell me the importance of that to you.
Yeah. Well, honestly, my mentor told me this. He said, "Man, YB, no matter what you see in my life and you like it or you're admired by it," he said, or inspired by it, he said, "Man, I have way more than what I deserve." Honestly, all I forgot what he says, but he's like, basically my blessings should be in a dirty bag. That's what I deserve. So knowing that I have what I have, I'm obligated to give and pour out into these younger guys. So when we play basketball,
Wow.
like when we on the court, man, those kids look up to him and he's giving them game and leadership and he take them out to eat and he do all of those things for me. But again, going back to that personal conviction, I feel
Yeah.
like my life should be a bypass, meaning as people
Mm.
come in my proximity, I have an obligation to serve them to some capacity. Now, that doesn't mean being a Christian that's ready to pop off at a verse. Sometimes this is the greatest church an unbeliever can go to, a set of ears.
Mm. Yeah.
Sometimes this is the
Yeah.
best an unbeliever can experience, a closed mouth. So, whether I take them out for coffee and I sit down, and that's my greatest challenge as a Christian, it's like, oh, I know this verse could help them, but just shut up.
Woo. Yes. Yes. Yes, bro. Yes. Yeah, yeah. You guys see that we got different commands in the chat. You guys seen those preaching, amen. Yeah, let them things run, run them up, cause yeah, bro, that's so good. You're so spot on. That sometimes, no matter how much we as Christians are told, you have the answer, right? God's the answer. You got to give that to him. Sometimes people just don't really need an answer that moment.
Yeah.
Rest. Okay, let's wrestle through that a little bit. Let's unpack that a little bit. So, how does somebody then? Because I always want to give something practical for those who are listening up on YouTube or following on Instagram and stuff. How can somebody practically kind of navigate through something like that? Because I know one simple answer that people, well, it's not simple. There's definitely complexity there, but oftentimes people just, hey, just be led by the Spirit, be led by the Spirit, and that's true. And I don't want to obviously take away from that, but that's still something that doesn't really seem to like be tangible enough for some people. So
Yeah.
how can somebody wrestle through that where it's like, yo, I feel like in my heart that I could just like pour all of this stuff onto them and it's going to help them out.
Yep.
But you don't want to be that person who's just constantly like, hey, I got to answer for this. I got this or that. What, like, so how can somebody practically like wrestle through something like that?
So I learned this lesson in marriage where my wife would talk and we would have our discussions, and it started to get to a point where while she was talking I would ask myself, what is she talking about? Like, what's the core problem here? And if I'm as she talking and if I'm like wandering off and I'm pondering and thinking and thinking and thinking, I would just come to the conclusion. Now this is all internal. My wife doesn't know. I would come to the conclusion I'm not listening to her. How can you say you love a person and you want their best interest in the moment that they be vulnerable and they say, okay, this is what I'm struggling with, and they trust you enough to bear those wounds, and you
Wow.
don't have the integrity or the intentionality to say, okay, let me turn off everything else, my response, and let me listen to what this person is entrusting me with. So for me,
Wow.
I spent so many years in the wilderness of sin and darkness. Again, when those people of different races came to my neighborhood and they showed true love, I remember the ROI it had on me and my faith. Whoa, God has to be
Mm.
real because you guys are operating out of the norm. So if you sit down with a Christian and you are already on the fence as a non-believer or a person who's struggling in their marriage or struggling with doubt or struggling with understanding the Bible, right? Anything that you can be criticized for, and in your
Yeah.
mind, I know they're gonna pull out the stick and beat me spiritually at some point. I'm just waiting for it. And then the moment you
Wow.
start doing that, what are you doing to the person sitting across from you? So my challenge is this: I literally do this when I sit down with people, young people, older people, whatever the case may be. As they're talking, I'm asking myself constantly, what are they saying? What is the core message of what they're saying? Oh, this is what they're saying. Oh man, this person is really hurt. So if I bring them a solution right now, if I'm talking to another human and they're really, really hurt, they need to connect. They don't need to be corrected.
Wow, bro, that's so good, man. That's so good. I like the fact that you stated that it'll almost come off as disingenuous to have a response just because you feel like you have a good response, where you almost want to be like tweetable, right? Like you almost kind of deliver it and be like, oh, I got something for you. This person's going to smile and they're going to be like,
Yeah,
thank you so much for that message. I needed that. But it could, even if your heart is genuine in that, if you're not careful, how that could still come off totally wrong. Bro, that's good. And at the same time, we're saying this, we know, right? Anybody who's lived life, right, in here, right? We're all grown in here. We know that is very complex within even that answer in and of itself, right? I think that'd be fair to say. And yes, that is where you go to, hey, that's where we have to really be sensitive to the spirit, right? Because if we're sensitive to the spirit, right, if we're spending time in our word, we're spending time in our peace and quiet and not always talking to God, but listening to God,
yeah,
we're able to, in that moment, be able to understand, yes, go ahead and give this to them. Or nope, hold on and wait because they might ask me, they might ask for it. So, bro, that's so powerful, man. And it's just saying, forget that fortune cookie tweets. Yeah. Hey, if you liked any of this content and you found some value in it, make sure that you like, subscribe, and of course, share it. Also, if you're interested in some more, go ahead and check out these videos. Till next time, grace and peace. Adios.